Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Abby, Jordan, and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 37 of Flesh and Pod. My name is Abby, and I am your host. With me, as always, are Logan and Jordan. We'll start off, as always. Logan, what did you do in Flesh and Blood this week?
Did my normal 2 armories, my Thursday and Saturday. Thursday was dog shit. I drafted Uprising and went 1-2 with a terrible draw my deck. Nothing to write home about. But the Saturday armories around here have been very interesting lately because Game Castle, the LGS that we play at on Saturdays for Armory, has been doing... so they sourced from a local player a bunch of Arcane Rising boxes. And so we've been Arcane Rising drafting. But because Arcane Rising is kind of a dull draft format in a lot of ways, we've been doing you open a pack of a set beforehand, and the entire contents of the pack are generic for the purposes of drafting. So all the cards in the pack can be played in your deck. So we did Tales of Aria this time. So I drafted Viserai, but had opened a Briar token.
Okay.
So I just got to play Briar instead.
Oh.
So instead of making rune chants every now and again, I'm making embodiments.
Yeah.
With Viserai's card pool. I went 4-0, winning in the finals against Duskblade Dash.
I saw that one.
Which, fuck. It was Dagan, friend of the show, Dagan White, and I needed him to brick on a critical boost turn, which he did because he had 2 Lead the Chargers in the deck and 2 Fate for Scenes, so he could brick on his boost. And he bricked on his boost, which then allowed me to just fatigue him. Like from there, he just was never going to be able to kill me.
That's awesome.
I did try to OTK him. He kind of just had a weird look, and he just kind of Arsenal passed his hand on the open or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so he has Stone Nothing, so I'm just going to start playing the things that make rune chants. Reduce to rune chant? Or no, that's a defense reaction.
Revel in Rune Bloods?
Don't think that's Arc. But
you're right. And that wouldn't work because those go away at the end of the turn.
Yeah. So so those are the ones that the red makes 3, the yellow makes 2, the blue makes 1.
Yep.
So I was just playing those and doing that, and then finally followed up with like a turn where I played like a Whispers of the Oracle to set up my next turn. And then played one of those behind it to give myself an embodiment for the next turn. And then it was like, okay, Arknight Ascendancy for 10 with 7 rune chants, go again. Let's go. And he's like, you fucking trying to OTK me? I'm like, kinda. I'm going to get your hand and I'm going to deal damage. Either way.
Huh.
And he's just like, I'm thinking about just not blocking. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, but then you sword for 4? I'm like, then I sword for 4. So, what do you want to do? Because it was, he played an Earthlore Surge ahead of the Arc Knight, whatever, the 6 for 3 that is reduced by a number of rune chants. Yeah, and so it was free, but I played a fucking Earthlore Surge in front of it because I'd opened one of my Aria packs. It was just like, okay, here we go.
What the hell does Earthlore Surge do?
+4.
Oh, this is just +4, like...
Non-attack action +4.
Yeah, sure.
It was an Earthlore Surge yellow, so...
It's not even an elemental, you're right. Holy hell.
Well, I could have played it anyway, because they're just considered generic for the purpose of... It's Earth.
Well, what I mean is like, why does an Earthlord Surge only give it to elemental cards? Consider the set that it's in. It's just odd that it gives it to the next attack action.
Yeah, just to anything. It doesn't need to be elemental.
Yeah, like just from a design. Yeah, interesting.
Because Briar shit just does that, I guess.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, why isn't Rosetta Thorn elemental? Yeah.
Dagan was lamenting because he had opened in Grasp of the Arc Knight in Pack 2. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to try to force Viserai, and I'm to his left, and it's Pack 2, so I'm passing right, and I'm in Viserai." I'm like, "Fuck you, asshole!" And just took everything. He's like, "I'm getting cut off." I'm like, "No, you're not. I started here. This isn't you getting cut off. This is you being greedy."
Yeah. You didn't read the line, right?
Yes, you opened a Grasp. Great. I'm proud of you. Good job taking it instead of passing a couple $100 or whatever the fuck it is. But that doesn't mean that you just automatically get all the Runeblade cards now, or 2. That doesn't how this works. But yeah, it's an extremely fun It's like 120, I think. But
for the it was Rainbow before. You guys weren't playing first edition, right? Okay.
We're not that crazy.
Yeah, it's $100 right now. Not bad.
$100, sure.
Yeah,
but you can 100% take it. It's just like a little really super. It's a really cool wrinkle to make the format just more interesting. Had to play against Azalea with Shiver.
Oh,
that's not okay. Like that's really fucking hard.
That's
there was
a pretty fun idea you guys have been doing.
There was a Kano with a Rosetta Thorn. Like,
does that work? Oh, wow.
Sure does.
Huh. So, what do you guys do when you get like a? Because you say you do these for armories, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you get someone that walks in the door that like isn't an established player? That like, how do you explain that like this armory isn't a traditional format, or like, do you not worry about that, or how does that work?
We don't really worry about it. I think it's across a bridge when we come to it. But we would probably literally, if you like, they walked in like 5 minutes prior to armory, right? And they're not pretty established. We would probably take the time to like explain what's going on and then do like a quick open to show them what we're talking about. Pause the tournament for a half hour or whatever, just to make sure that they're up to speed. We're not going to just leave somebody out in the cold. That is not how our group works.
No, sure. Because I don't mean this to put you on the spot. Or is that like a thing that you're typically allowed to do within Gym? Is like your own homebrewed formats for armories?
Don't know.
Okay, that's totally fine. And as long as it works for your community, I don't think it actually matters. I just worry about somebody coming in off the street being like, "Well, I was here to draft Blitz, play CC, or play Popper," or and like, what the fuck is going on?
We were technically drafting, and so if somebody did raise an objection, it's like, I'm not going to play that. We'd been like, okay, we're just going to eliminate the chaos.
We'll just drop the format. We'll just drop the goofy pack. Yeah, sure.
Right.
And like, I like that you guys do that for what it's worth, especially for communities that like are pretty insular and don't have much like out there in Iowa. You guys aren't going to get a lot of like rotating traffic through the door of new people, right?
So like, that's funny because we actually did in this armory. We had somebody that showed up from Wichita.
Oh,
and
just like
which
a
is
new player, or
yep. Well, he plays in Wichita and he goes to school at Iowa State, and he just came back to Ames, and so he showed up for the first time and had no objection. Had a blast. Like honestly,
I don't want to communicate the idea that I don't think it's cool that you shouldn't do it.
I get that. Like, I understand the concern. Like, I really do. We have not run into a spot where it's going to be a problem yet. But if we did, we would just say, okay, we'll just cut that.
Okay, we'll stop. Right? Yeah. Okay. Right. That's very reasonable too, because like at the end of the day, everybody's operating under the same things. It's not like you're like modifying formats to like pre-ban Prism or something. Like that's different. You're like making your own thing that everybody. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. Cool. Sorry, you can continue. I was confused, and that's a thing that came into my mind when I was thinking about the story you were saying. So,
sure. No, that's all I got. Jordan, your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mean to kill your.
No, you just straight fuck me, and that's fine. Like I would like you to wine and dine me first, but you can do that later. You're going to owe me a 3-way anyway as soon as I hit Ohio. So.
Yeah, I do. I am going to buy 3-ways for when it comes to Columbus.
A lot of 3-ways.
I'm not clarifying what I mean if you don't know. Google it.
The dirtier the browser. The dirtier the better.
Yeah. No, so I did quite a little bit of Flesh and Blood this week. Abby and I played some CC.
I was
against Abby's will. It was not. Here's
the thing,
fun.
Jordan.
To be honest, for either of us.
This is how it goes every time. Jordan goes, "Hey, do you want to play a game of Flesh and Blood?" And I go, "Oh, you have Blitz decks main." And
she knows the answers now.
Classic Constructed. And I go, "No." And he goes, "You don't want to play?" And I go, "No." "Do you have Blitz decks main?" And he goes, "No." And then eventually he'll go, "Will you play if I shuffle the deck?" And I go, "Okay." And that's how it goes.
So you shuffle.
Yeah. So I shuffle. And here's what's even more ridiculous about this. It'll get to the point where it's late game, and like she'll go to tutor a Phoenix Flame or something because I think she played Phi. And the deck is smaller than a Blitz deck at this point, but like the rules are that I shuffle. So I still have to shuffle this fucking 36 card deck, which is nonsense given that it's smaller than a Blitz deck. But
yeah, I mean,
rules are rules, I guess.
The rules are rules.
That's what separates us from the hill people. I have my mom is from West Virginia. I can call them hill people.
You can do that.
Yeah. No, so I Watched a lot of Flesh and Blood content this week. In particular, I got to watch the finals of Battle Hardened Portland last night. I didn't get. Did I play on TTS? Oh, I did. I played on TTS with Jeff this week. Jeff O from Twitter, Pittsburgh area. We played some TTS. That was very fun.
A fine human being, a fine example of what being a good human is like.
Good representative of the people of Earth, right? And then we were both like mucking about with decks. We really didn't know what we were doing, so like who knows if it was useful or not, but it was fun. And then on Saturday,
there's not a circle,
right? And then on Saturday, we went to, went to Beyond the Board with Teague and Josh and a couple of other locals, and built decks out of like the store's bulk for like Commoner decks to give away. Basically, you guys bulk a guy up at your store, the new guy up at your store. We bulk Teague up, and then he like builds these decks and gives them all away. So we built like, I think I left when they were like, we were at like 60 or 70 new decks having been made, and that was like not a fraction of the boxes. Like we condensed none of the bulk at all. Teague was disappointed at how we had really just generated a new box, because the box that was holding the decks now had to be like in the way. But he gives them away pretty quickly, so we'll be doing this again about once a quarter.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Have you ever opened and looked at the contents of the pre-constructed 5 Blitz deck?
These are the first Blitz decks we haven't bought.
I want you at some point to look at it and then come back to me with why. Because it is
nonsense.
It is a nonsense shit show. It is absolutely. We counted how many cards out of the 45 are in the pot that come in the box would be playable in the Blitz format if somebody were to build 5, and it's 17. Counting everything.
You have to build half the deck still?
No, wait, more than half.
Oh, I guess 23. Yeah.
Like, I'm counting equipment.
Oh yeah. Even
in
more
the
than
17. That. It's really bad.
Like, do they just have like blues that cost money in the deck? Like, I don't understand.
They have a ton of things that cost actual resources.
Do they have
this
economy?
The 2 for 5 go agains in it.
Why?
And then like the 1 for 3 the Cinderclaw thing, and it's just like no.
People at LSS are smart game designers. Who is in charge of this product and is like, you know what? Like, I wonder if it's because they build them together and like the 5 one would run roughshod over the Dromai deck if it were optimized.
That could be.
Do you think it's just like we have to make this one dramatically worse? Does it only have 1 Phoenix Flame?
No, it has 2.
Okay.
But we're counting that in the 17 playable cards. Like,
oh boy.
Ew.
So it's 15.
15 real cards that you like don't have access to for free. Interesting. Yeah, so we built those decks that they give out, like on Magic Nights. They'll go around and be like, "Hey, have you heard about our Lord and Savior Flesh and Blood?"
You're knocking on the door like a Mormon, just like
right. Yeah, have you heard the story of how James White took the
tablets from fucking Utah and
he
was in magic underwear and it's Jesus, we're gonna get roasted.
Yeah. Then the angels spoke a language only James could hear, and it was the comprehensive rules. Yeah.
No. We're about to get canceled.
We're off. Yeah. I was going to use the new raise hand button and dramatically undercut us. But
no, it's not new. It's always been there. But now she has something to say, so now we have to shut up.
Yeah. No, but that was it. That was it for me in Flesh and Blood this week. It was a good week though.
Yeah. Abby, did you do anything outside of make Jordan shuffle decks?
No, sure didn't. It was a quiet week for me. I
feel like you did something else. Am I crazy?
Well, not mutually exclusive.
Fair enough. Yeah. I could be making it up. Why do I feel like we did collection management? Or was that me? Was that just me?
That was you. It was not me. I was not part of that.
Gotcha.
I don't know where the cards are, so I can't.
You know what?
I can look.
I can look. They're in the camera frame. Like I can see where the fucking cards are, Abby.
I can't get into the basement. It's so weird.
Oh my god!
It's crazy.
We took the door off the hinges so the cat could get down here all of the time.
Okay, first off, the doors have not been taken off the hinges, so let's not even lie. I don't know why we're talking about that.
It's on your to-do list.
Yeah, well, so we have the door like permanently because the cat's like litter boxes in like the unfinished part of our basement.
Yeah.
And so we have like the door's been permanently cracked since 2019. And at this point, it's just like, why does the door exist? So I've been meaning to take it off the hinges. But the world went to hell, and then I forgot.
But then what are you going to do with the door?
Yeah, I don't know
just
why
put
we're
it down
taking
here
off the
somewhere.
hinges.
So
Because
you're going to relocate this piece of wood that is a barrier to entry to somewhere else entirely, where it's already serving a purpose of not being in the way. So you're then going to take it out. You're going to make effort to put it somewhere where it very well could be in the way.
The problem is it's in the way, like where it's at.
Oh no, it is in the way.
Our house is poorly constructed, in that there are doors that just when you open them,
Logan,
create
you've
artificial.
been in the house.
I've been in the house.
Yeah, well, he didn't get the full. Do these doors are nonsensical?
He was literally in the house. He could see the area that you're talking about. You know what? Let's just table this, and we'll talk about it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
We can do it in 2 weeks. 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
I'm going to have to show you this layout. So, okay.
Oh my god.
All right.
No, I did not do anything else flesh and blood related. Jordan and I had some marriage testing. We built some IKEA furniture today. So
I heard. My condolences, but I am happy that you are still both still able to live in the same house.
Exactly.
And that I don't see any visible wounds.
It was honestly the best IKEA put together that we've done thus far. So
we just bought like 4 or 5 pieces, and so we're pros at like all of the same tricks that IKEA has for all of their furniture. You know, we're pros at that now. So this one just had some really awkward spaces. It was like a shoe rack that like closes, and so there was just a lot of like very small, like a pantry for your shoes. And dude, Logan, I see the look on your face, bud. I don't know.
We'll send a picture after this. We've gotten.
It's actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
But
I mean, I've bought some stupid shit in my life, so
yeah.
All right, let's move on. So news this week. First up,
I hate that fucking button already.
We should have showed Abby the raise my hand button.
Nope, just fucking hate it already. Like I'm already off it.
You did this. This is directly your fault. Just so everyone's
going back
aware.
to Discord. Yeah.
I have something to say. That my thing's bouncing.
I don't care.
Fuck you. All right.
So we got the breakdown for Worlds. If you haven't heard, so the breakdown will be day 1, rounds 1 through 3 is Uprising Draft. Rounds 4 through 8 is Classic Constructed. Day 2 is Uprising Draft for rounds 9 through 11. And then Blitz for rounds 12 through 16. And then day 3 is a cut to top 8. And it's Classic Constructed.
First hot take, to just get the non-controversial stuff out of the way. I love having top 8 as its own dedicated day. Do you remember old like Pro Tour top 8s from Magic, and like Sunday was PT top 8 day?
It was so fucking awesome.
It was so good, man. You'd wake up and like make breakfast to that shit, and like that's what you did that day.
And every match was on camera. Like absolutely.
Yeah. It reminds me of NFL Sundays, where like you wake up and you don't stop watching football until you go to sleep, and like that is so cool. Those were my favorite days of my life. So like, I am excited for that part.
Yeah, when I still remember vividly when Wyatt Darby was a friend of mine, Iowa Magic player. Wyatt Darby was making his run, watching it and just watching him just go, and fucking just glued to it the whole time. And watching every match is like, okay, so this is a bad matchup for Wyatt. So I need this person to win or whatever, because like obviously vested interest at that point. It's a friend. And a friend of yours winning the fucking Pro Tour is just incredible, right? And so that glory bringer off the top, there was a lot of screaming like happening at the house at the TV. It's just like, fucking murder him! It was beautiful. But you're right, it's appointment viewing at that point, and that is the perfect thing for Worlds. Just fucking do it. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And the fact that this goes from Friday to Sunday, like this will be your weekend, and that is... If you're not in San Jose, like that will be phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll be in San Jose. So,
damn.
But so you wanna hop into the hop into the hot take cannon?
I know that Abby has a very strong opinion about the thing that everyone's talking about. So I'll say the bit in case you're unfamiliar, and then Abby can go first, I guess, because this is unusual that Abby has
Abby talk.
the densest opinion, I think. And
I think it'd be very toxic of us to not to.
Right, yeah, right. But so Blitz will be a 4-round component of the World Championship, and this what's the line from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? This is a questionable move that has made a lot of people mad. It's been debated ever since. Abby, what do you think about Blitz being a key component of the World Championship?
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings on this. First, I want to say, if you have a Twitter, please go to James White Twitter and just see J-Dub's dunk on everyone. He has been all over Twitter, putting people in their place, and I, for one, am here for it. My biggest gripe is that people don't think Blitz is a competitive format, and it bothers me very much. And I think if you're going to be the best player in the world, you should be the best player in the world at all of the format. Like, the takes that I have seen on Twitter are some of the worst that I've ever seen, and it's awful.
Baffling.
I mean, I would never imagine. I would get it if they came out and was like, Ultimate Pit Fight is going to be in it. Okay, we can have a conversation then. But this is a format that they put in tournaments. This is a competitive format, regardless if you want to think it is or not. It is per LSS. So the people have just come out with, like I said, ridiculous takes. I think it's great. If you want to be the best, you got to be the best at everything.
So for those who are sports fans out there among us, James White started with like a Dominique Wilkins level of dunking, so pretty high level. Escalated to Michael Jordan when people tried to step up, and eventually went full Vince Carter on them. And just human highlight, the human highlight reel, half man, half amazing, and just fucking destroyed them. He made some very salient points that matter. One of them is that Blitz is the most played format in Flesh and Blood. Full stop.
Yep.
Another thing that was said, and I'm really glad that the person who said this was able to then process what was said, because they came in with, I think it's unfortunate that they're making the most important rounds of the tournament Blitz. And James, this is where James strapped on the Vince Carter suit, was like, well, actually, since for tiebreaker purposes, the beginning rounds are more important for tiebreaker percentages, you could say the Classic Constructed is actually just more important. And it was just like, whew.
Yeah, can I cut in there for 2 seconds and let you get back on track? Mm-hmm. There's this school of thought in Fab that the later rounds are more impactful. Like, losing later is somehow worse. I don't know where that came from on Fab Twitter. There's a lot of people talking about that, like, that they misunderstand that. Losing earlier under Fab's tiebreakers is worse than losing earlier. If you lose round 1 of the tournament, you were probably not making the top 8. If you
have a problem.
Yeah, right. You have a higher mountain to overcome than a person. If both of you go 14-1 and your loss was in round 1, and the guy you're vying against, his loss was in round 15, he's getting in over you, right?
Yeah.
So
and
I don't know where that came from. I just wanted to dispel it because I see all over Twitter with this, like, Blitz are now the most important rounds because of tiebreakers. Imagine, get missing out on Blitz tiebreakers. Like, that's not what's happening. Just
now,
stop.
If you do start off 0-2, you can win the world title. Pablo Pintor started out 0-2.
Yep.
And then didn't fucking lose.
Right.
So just win your fucking matches. And I know that's very reductionist, and I get it, but Blitz is a real format. Blitz is a format that is supported by LSS at now the highest possible levels. And it's a format that you need to be familiar with in order to call yourself the world champion. You don't get to just ignore an entire format. And if you think about it, people, and I've seen this on Twitter too, and this went just batshit. They're like, well, yeah, but somebody could, 3-0 or 6-0 draft, 5-0 Blitz, and 0-3 Constructed and still get into the top 8. I'm like, theoretically, that is possible, depending on how things shake up in number of players. But then you know what happens? They go into the top 8, and they get dumpstered because they can't play Classic Constructed.
Yep.
Right.
Are we done here? They're not the world champion. What the fuck?
Right, like they still have to go undefeated, and they still have to go 3-0 in an undefeated, in a CC bracket. Like that means nothing to me. Yeah,
like people coming out here and just saying that like CC is not as important. It is literally the end of the tournament. Is fucking Classic Constructed. Yeah. To call yourself the world champion, you have to win 3 straight matches of Classic Constructed. What are we doing here?
Yep. There's this screenshot that people have. Sorry, either of you. Sorry, I think I cut both of you off. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I've seen that.
Yeah. So
there's a. Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. Nope. I think I'm lagging. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's an article that there's a screenshot of it that's been going around, and it was, what is the intention of Blitz and other formats? So everyone's been posting that, and like, what changed here? That article was written 25 months ago. It's not relevant. Lots changed.
Yeah, and for people that haven't seen the screenshot, the article basically lays out what people's perception of Blitz has been, that it is not intended to be anything above a it's not intended to be a world premiere event. Is basically this premise of this article that was written on fabtcg.com in pre-COVID. So like
before a global pandemic.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was.
Abby pointed this tweet out to me from James White. In the 25 months since this article was written, Blitz has become the most played Fab format in the world. World Champions is a reflection of elite skill across all 3 of Fab's premier formats, and a showcase that is inclusive of the preferred/only format of many fans following along. We talked a little 100%. Bit about this last week. The purpose of the Pro Tour, to give out $100,000 up top, is not because James White loves competitive play. Even though
it's not that he hates money like Keith.
Right. It's because this $100,000 is a value buy. This buys eyeballs. And when people go, oh, wait, I can buy that deck. I can play that one. It only took me 20 minutes.
For $60 or whatever. Like,
yeah, right.
Come the fuck on.
When you consider all of the things that the Pro Tour is, like, but at the end of the day, too, like, just win. Like, you ever, like, I don't know, the lack of, this is very card player. Like, card players are very whiny and very, like, make excuses at every level. And
listener base, don't just kind of slow that down.
I'll say this: our listener base is better than this. I think.
No, that's true. Like I kind of just insulted them. I think
the Fapper at the end of the day could like disagree with what we're saying and still appreciate it,
and have tendonitis from being a Fapper.
Okay, operating your podcast app doesn't do that, Logan. Whatever do you mean? I think
we do things differently.
Yeah, the flesh and blood or TCG player experience is very riddled with excuses or like complaints about like, oh well, variance this, variance that, like, or this is bad because this isn't good for me directly, so I'm going to complain about it to soften my own soft spots. I say this as a person that will never be world champion. Like, just shut up and win. I'm a pretty competitive person in life, so maybe I'm missing the mark here. But like when people are going, well, I'm going to skip the world champs because of this now.
Please do.
Dude, you weren't ever winning it in the first place then, Bubs. Like I've seen that take from a lot of people. And like this whole, like, I'm not going to play because it's not the format I like. All right.
Don't fucking care.
Yeah, like literally just snooze. Hit the snooze button. Like
we speak a lot on this podcast about community inclusivity, and the things that we do value as people. And we play this game, and humans in general compartmentalize their experience, right? And fit everything into the neat little box that is their lives. And then think, and everybody, and I'm guilty of it, everybody that's listening at some point in time is guilty of this. We all are the stars in the movie about our lives. But you need to stop and remember that you're just a fucking bit part in everybody else's. So it's not about you. It's about what is the best way to crown the world champion of this game. And the best way to crown the world champion of this game is a mastery across all played formats. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Yep. Completely agree. Ab, do you have anything else? Did you hit on what you wanted to talk about? Or
I did. I got all the feelings out.
It was good too. I mean, we all bent it. It felt nice.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
Last point that gets to me, because I do like, anybody that knows me, I like data and stats and making value-based decisions, right?
That's why you listen to game stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nope. So and Dagan just like screamed in his car.
I'm crushing it on Bed Bath & Beyond right now, so I don't know.
So he talked about how James White talked about. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me step back. A lot of people have talked about how Blitz is a format of who ranches on who first, which I love the phrasing.
I do like ranching.
Yeah, like who does their decks thing first, who has the most functional hand first, and because the light totals are so low, that's it, right? James White came out with some pretty substantial data that is not the case. LSS devs played as part of community teams at the Calling in Sydney. 1 dev plus 2 community members. 1 played Oldham, 1 played Kano, 1 played Era. Their collective record was 30-6, removing dev versus dev pairings. 83% win rate. In the same weekend, PT champion Pablo Pintor won the Blitz Calling in Madrid on the same weekend. So basically, good players win games of Flesh and Blood. And if you think that, like, man, I don't win games of Blitz because it's so variance heavy, A, listen to yourself, because you should win at least half of them if it's so variance heavy. Like, just
by variance.
Yeah,
by
like if we're flipping coins, you should win half of them, right? And then if there's any skill, you should come out further ahead because you're controlling that variance with your skill advantage that you clearly have. So I guess I say all of this to say is, like, if you don't like Blitz as a format because it's faster than you like, or the decks don't feel like it's completely functional or whatever, I can understand that complaint. But let's dial back from the idea that it's not competitive and that it's not like a format fit for the World Championship. Because at the end of the day, all this shit's fake anyway, and what it's fit for the World Championship is literally whatever they say it is. Yeah.
So, also that entire data take by James White is a total 360 windmill 2-hand slam that shatters a backboard. Basically saying, my devs beat the fuck out of you, get good. It's like, point taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally got, I'm not a big Twitter user, and I got on, and like the first like 3 things on my timeline or whatever it's called on Twitter was like just James White like dunking responses on people, and I was like, I don't know what happened, but I love this.
I'm here for it.
I like the image of like James White just like anger tweeting from his desk or his chair or his car or whatever, like before going into work, just like doom scrolling and being like, fuck these kids. Like,
I really hope that he actually dictates those tweets to somebody and he'll type them in real time, and then after every tweet he takes the phone that's sitting on his desk that he's not using and chucks it against the wall and shatters it, and just keeps doing that over and over and over again because fuck it.
Or he shreds a gold foil tunic for every bad take he sees about Blitz.
Jesus.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to start cutting these up.
I was going to give some of these away. Fuck all y'all.
We kept 3, not anymore,
Shouldn't have bitched about it.
I am so excited for the World Championship. You know what's funny? I didn't have a take. I didn't care before I saw bad takes. Like, I really was on the fence about how I felt about it, from whether I would prefer just like maybe another draft or another battle CC. But then, like, this is like a fun interest of mine. Making bad arguments can take people that are neutral to your position and make them like the other side of that argument. You can turn people off from your position by forming a bad argument. So just think about that. Like, if you're like thinking about tweeting some dumb hot take, go like, is this persuasive and is it the best form of the argument? Like, probably not. So just delete the Twitter app from your phone. I wish I could. Like, I wish I could have a podcast that does well without engaging with people on the internet, but that's the job. So
hold on. No, that's not how that works.
I hate social media.
I know, but even what we're doing now is technically engaging with people.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, I can't delete the podcast and still podcast, so I'm just kind of
right. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, pocket it for sure. I would keep Discord. I think
Discord's fine. You cultivate your own communities. That makes it fine.
Right. Actually, since I completely unrelated, but since I switched Twitter from showing me like recommended shit and just showing me like my timeline in chronological order, I've loved Twitter. You can like turn off all of the like so and so liked this and like it fucks with your algorithm. It's been like so much better because then I'm like, oh, that person said something done, unfollow, and it's all fine now. So
yeah,
it's nice.
There we go. Now you know how to use Twitter, guys. All right. So Dynasty, the set that's going to come out in November, it looks like we get information regarding that on August 30th.
2 weeks until spoiler season. Jordan, how do you feel?
I'm glad you asked. In my Aaron Sorkin time of drafting this script, that was perfect.
Poking the bear is the best fucking thing.
I don't. Everybody knows this by now. We've been through 2 spoiler seasons together. I don't like spoiler season. I want just a little bit more time before I have to start caring. Maybe August 30th, I'll feel fine. Like, we'll be through the Pro Tour at that point. I like that. I think we're going to get Dynasty the week after the World Championships. Is I think when it will release based on some of the other information in the article. So that's pretty cool. So whatever the week after that PT is, I want to say it's like the Friday after the 6th.
After Worlds.
Yeah, the Friday after Worlds, rather. Sorry. Yeah, so November
11th.
11th. Yeah, I think November 11th we'll have a Dynasty release.
So we get it right before Disney.
We do get it right before Disney, so we can have no money the month of November.
Yay!
But yeah, I don't like spoiler season. I want a little bit more time, if only because bands make a format feel new, like Stubby Hammer is going away. The PT will make the format feel new because we certainly will see something new at the PT or something unexpected or something minor become something major. That's just generally the narrative of the Pro Tours, right? Last Pro Tour was Kano, like this Pro Tour, who knows, right? So I'm a little sad to run right from the Pro Tour into Dynasty, especially when we have nationals that will evolve the format, across the world. And then we'll run into Worlds without those cards as well. So it's really weird for Worlds to be the end of a format in my mind. But like it almost feels like a dead format because you can't take the decks or the cool strategies that get innovated upon in Worlds and like cultivate them for the next thing. Especially Blitz. We've never had high level testing of Blitz before, really. We've had it for callings, but Worlds is going to be a different beast in terms of what people and teams do. So I'm really excited to see what decks come up for Blitz. And they're not going to be as relevant because, again, in 2 days we're getting a supplemental set, which will shake up every deck. So I just want a little bit more time.
There'll be all kinds of min-maxing, I think, for Blitz specifically because of how fast the format can be. It makes sense to kind of take that tack. And honestly, you're right. It's kind of cool in a way that we get Worlds, and then everything the week after Worlds, everything is brand new again. That's kind of neat, honestly.
You like that?
I do. I think that the more I think about it, like obviously, Worlds is a show. I want chaos. That is my preferred outcome of all things is pure chaos. But in this regard, if I don't get to have chaos, I would like everything to feel new again afterward. So ideally, it would have been the format for the draft format or whatever the format for everything included Dynasty, and you got the Dynasty cards, were available a week before the event.
Yeah,
and
or
that's
like available to the Pro Tour players to borrow, or the World's players to borrow, or something.
Or each World's player is just given a set of, a play set of Dynasty. Don't care. It's probably a lot of people. But...
Well, yeah, so Worlds is a little different than we're familiar with from Magic. Because Worlds is just a Pro Tour with a different name, it feels like, in Flesh and Blood. Because you could still use just a generic PTI on it. You can still gift PTIs, all that kind of stuff. Whereas in Magic, it was like a much smaller 16 to 32 person invite-only event.
Yep.
Whereas Worlds in Flesh and Blood, it does feel like it's just like probably a slightly smaller PT, but it's just a different name for like the same style of invitation.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's not PTQ seasons, so never mind. There's not PTQ season, so it will be dramatically smaller.
It's PTI only versus having pro quests that qualify directly for it, or having tournaments that qualify directly for it. Because even nationals themselves don't qualify you for worlds; they give you a PTI, which keeps sounding like UTI every time I say it. But it's not an infection. It kind of is. It's something that you carry with you, and you can give it. You can give to others. That's really is kind of all right. Wow. At any rate, so to infect somebody with your PTI, you would need to send an email. Never mind. At any rate, you have X number of PTIs out there. People have stacked them. There are people that have 3 to 5. I think 5 is the max I've heard of. That they just have them. And so they're going to, and there are people who had earned one and have just been sitting on it waiting for Worlds because they found out that a PTI can get you into Worlds. So it's kind of fascinating how they designed this, because you're right, it's not as many players as a Pro Tour theoretically, because there just aren't as many PTIs as there are invites via ProQuests. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But back to the chaos theories. It would have been nice to have that little injection of chaos, just to have things, have everything be super fresh and different and innovation in the, as fast as possible. I think that that's interesting. But if I can't have that, having got through Worlds, get through the spectacle, get through the festivities of Worlds, crown a world champion, and then turn around, and it feels like, okay, now everybody, this is your target. Start grinding on something new. I like that. I think that is an acceptable alternative to what I ultimately would have wanted.
Sure.
There you go. Ahead of the Pro Tour and National Championship, we have a new back alley Oracle. It's number 9. Avoid common tournament infractions. So it has a breakdown of common things. So tardiness, slow play, deck list and deck content errors, and then mark cards. And it has a breakdown on all of those common things that they see and how to not have that happen. So we'll link that in the show notes so you can take a look at it if you feel so inclined. Do you guys have anything you want to touch on that?
No. I guess the only thing, just so that it's not like a bullet point without a sub bullet point, is there's one thing that I've done that I've never heard other people talk about is shuffle your empty sleeves before sleeving to avoid marked cards. And I picked that up in Magic early, and whenever you talk to people, that's not a commonly heard thing. Yeah, and it's one of those things that because when you unsleeve your deck, you probably sort it, so you have your cards in a determinable order, and then you sleeve them, and then the sleeving irregularities then sleeve your cards in a determinable order that is marked per card. So it could look malicious if you don't. So I always shuffle my sorted unsleeved deck just once or twice over, and then shuffle the empty sleeves, and that avoids a marked card. But anyway, I thought this article was really good, and we have a lot of people that listen to this show that are kind of in that I play armories and skirmishes and might go to a calling. So here you go, read this.
There you go.
Good read.
Our favorite light lady Prism is still around. We are so close,
man.
Well, the finals weren't that close.
The finals was not close to close, but it was close that she got to the finals.
To the finals, right.
Yeah.
She'll be gone eventually. It's just, I was really hoping to have her gone before Nationals. That's
Yeah. I don't see, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, I don't see her doing a major event that isn't a national.
Just have to win a battle hardened.
That's hard, though.
It is, but
it's hard.
If we just agree that the entire field plays Prism, then
right. One of the jokes I heard is if you're a Prism player and you make it to the finals of the battle hardened, you run, don't walk to your nearest judge and concede before the other person can concede. So
I think that literally is a thing right now. I think that's just Prism players yeah, I'm in the finals. Okay, just attack me. I'm not blocking.
No block arenas. Yeah, especially for battle hardens where there is only a small cash difference between first and second, right? Is there a gold foil difference?
Yeah, there's a gold foil difference.
Okay, well, maybe that's substantial.
But still, it's just like all the Prism players who've been punting, once they've got what they needed out of it, it's just like, and I just want her gone.
I do think it'll win a Nationals, and that'll be fine. Like,
yeah, probably.
I feel like it feels intuitive enough for her to be here for national season, so I don't like bemoan it too much. Though it would be interesting to see.
Says the person not playing in the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing the calling that weekend, so
but I'm in Nationals. I don't want her there.
Oh well, I mean, I feel like she's a fair check on the format. I don't know.
I mean, you're correct. It's Guardians all day long if Prism's not there. So
right. So anyway,
okay, fine.
Yeah. 3 weeks until SCG Con in Columbus. Don't forget about that. Friday there is an armory at Beyond the Board, which is our local store. What format is it?
I don't know if we know
draft.
That. Draft? Oh, it's draft.
Teague said draft. Yep,
it's draft. Yep.
There you go. And then Sunday there's Battle Hardened.
Saturday there is the Ohio State football game.
That's right. Notre Dame. It's a big one.
Notre Dame, Ohio State. You are correct.
Yeah.
I thought it was adorable, by the way, that you were like, well, let's just go to the game, which is the most not from Columbus person thing I've ever heard in my life, where downtown is unusable. It's unusable. Like, if the convention center, fortunately, is on the other half of town, so we won't get too much like blowback, but like, we would have to get down there at like 6 a.m. for it to be a functional day. And like, when you're like, well, let's just buy tickets that are $400 a piece to sit in the nosebleeds and then get down there at 6 a.m. Absolutely not.
Dude, we can just, if we have to, just hamstring somebody that's walking up to the game and jack their tickets.
Is
that illegal?
Yeah, I think that might be illegal. Also,
that's illegal. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And like Columbus police are not, I mean, they're police, so you can kind of guess the fallout from that.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, but no, I mean, downtown for Ohio State games is cool. It's just a nightmare, and like, I've done it, so I'm never doing it again.
Never doing it again.
Season ticket holder for years, done it as a, I'm good. Like, I'll just watch them on TV. I'll go to like the when we play like the schools that like get paid to play us, like when we pay like the $10 million to like a school to, lose to 72-0, and like I'll go to those games because like the environment's still cool, but not like downtown is unusable. So,
right.
But
yeah.
Anyway,
and then in the end of September, so September 30th through October 2nd, there is a Battle Hardened in Minneapolis.
Yes, and we'll put the link in the show notes for pre-registration. It looks like they're doing this a little bit differently because there'll be the Super Armory like SCG does, but this isn't run by SCG. So there's actually the Battle Hardened is on Saturday instead of Sunday. And then on top of that, there is another tournament on Sunday that awards a PTI. So like a ProQuest, but not in ProQuest season. And that awards a PTI, not a Pro Tour qualification. So that's really cool that they're getting that kind of thing. And it's a place called TGG in Minneapolis that's running it. So that's really just interesting to me, especially since it's close enough to me to just drive to without batting an eye.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something like that just kind of happen, not in my backyard, but close enough.
Is that like your Indianapolis to me?
Yeah,
Is
that'd
that
be
like,
similar.
Like if there's a tournament there that weekend, you're just like going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep, and it's just nice that it's something where there is something on every day versus the whole that is a Saturday at SCG Con right now.
God, remember when we thought that would be a calling?
Yeah, we fucking punted.
Yeah.
Well,
well,
I'm going to see people more than I'm going to play a calling. Like, if I'm being totally honest, I'm not going to this event because I have some illusions of greatness or grandeur. It's just that there are people I like in Columbus, and so it gives me an excuse to go there and hang out. And it's a Labor Day weekend, so it makes it easy.
Yeah, it's a very convenient thing.
Slippers. Is that what we're giving him?
Oh, you're giving me slippers, but I thought I was coming for a 3-way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so you could go up to a 5-way. Do you like onions and
those
beans?
options? I love onions. We can do without the beans.
Okay, so you can get a 4-way with onions.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, last time I was at a Skyline, the noodles were a little limp, but it was meaty enough.
There you go, folks. I'm so uncomfortable with what's happening.
That's not true.
Oh, send us an email, folks, and let us know.
Send us an email, let us know, I guess.
Yeah. Blink once if you're okay. So then we also have actually before we talk about this, we finished the Pro Tour draft.
Oh yeah.
So if you signed up, you should have gotten some kind of notice from your person. Teams are up. They have been posted so you can see who took what. Team Possum is for sure going to win. Sorry.
Have you seen Team Fap After Dark?
So I'm looking at the teams right now. I don't have a horse in this race. Good.
Team for timeout. I thought we have discussed that it's Fapter Dark.
I thought that might be lost on people. So I went with Fap After Dark.
Oh, God. Fapter Dark is way better.
I agree with you. But when you're looking at it as a hashtag, it's not as easy. Now, Jordan, please continue.
Yeah, I'm looking at these teams, and they're stacked. So I'm trying to look objectively at them because I don't have a horse in the race. I do like Logan's team a lot with Cale McCreath, Tarek Patel, Tyler Horspool, and Emmanuel Christensen. That's a very strong team. I also really like Alain's team with like Hayden Dale, Florian Christian Logan, who was runner-up at PT New Jersey, Andrew Rothermel, and William Kubik. That team is pretty strong. Abby's team has Pablo Pintor, Matt Rogers, Kevin Breyer, and then Dagan White. So 3 players in a brain cell. I like that team a lot, actually.
Damn fine brain cell.
Like, that team's actually pretty strong. Dalen Mack's team is interesting. Charles Dunn, Michael Fang, Brendan Patrick, Dalen Mack.
Malin Deck.
Yeah, Dalen Paquin picked one himself. So I actually really like that team. Brendan and Dalen are the weakest members on Dalen's team, but also like very good players. So like
can't wait for you to talk to him about this.
Yeah, Dalen's just gonna body me at somewhere. I'm gonna break every bone in my body and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Isaac Crute, Janik, Matt Folks, Matt Dilks is Flake's team. That's also very strong. So there are just some very, very good teams here.
I think my favorite part of this entire thing was on Twitter. David Rude put out there that he would build himself a team of 4 of any player that wasn't drafted and take it even money against any of the other teams. And Tarek just snapped off, "Yeah, I got 20 on Logan's team." Just like, cool. Do it. You won't. Fucker.
Did he end up taking it?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's kind of gas. Like, I'd be curious to see who he ends up taking.
There's a lot of talent still on the board.
I love the confidence of I could beat you with the waiver wire. There's something,
right? Yeah,
there's something insanely cool there. That's fun. If you guys haven't ever PT drafted before, please do it in your own communities. It's very fun. You basically get whoever wants to play. You draft like an auction or like a snake draft. And then, like you would for like fantasy football or something, and then points are based on that your team's total match points. And if there's a tie, whoever had the highest finishing player wins. It's very fun, very easy. Just do it in a Google spreadsheet, and I did them for every Pro Tour for Magic since I started playing. So, and
my desired Pack 1 Pick 1 was Pablo Pintor. So. I will go ahead and concede that one. Abby got me there. It was kind of funny because Thomas Von Freshness, as Flake likes to refer to him, he took Gregor Skowalski, who is a noted Magic player, very good, and also a very good Flesh and Blood player as well, just grinding his heart out, and will probably do very well. And he was on my radar to take because I didn't think that I thought Tommy was 100% going to take Tyler Horspool. And then Tommy took Greg, and Horspool made it to me. And I'm just like, I'll take it. Shit. Sounds great.
Yeah,
Huh.
my team picked 3 of the 4. I gave
Who
them
did you? I assume Dagan was not the fan
yeah,
favorite.
I knew as soon as we got past Logan's second, if it wasn't taken, I was going to take him in the third.
I thought for sure that Logan was going to take Dagan in the second
know.
round because when you didn't take him, Abby, I said I think you missed your chance to take Dagan. And then
Why would I take the guy that lost to the guy that I took?
Well,
Like-
wow, Jesus.
Taking
We're
you
offering
through this?
GameStop stock for employee performance. So, but anyway, so there's something to follow along with. If you didn't participate, well, that's a shame. But you can follow along and track teams.
That's right. And then we have the ever wonderful Brawl coming up in October 22nd and 23rd. I'm not going to give you time to write down the dates because everybody made a big deal about it last week. But if you don't show up, that's why. Saturday is a 10K Classic Constructed Brawl Day 1. We also have the cosplay contest, side events, win a VIP Blitz tournament, win a VIP Ultimate Pit Fight, and then the Speakeasy Saturday night. Sunday is the 10K Day 2, and then side events and the 2K Team Sealed. We are giving away a VIP ticket to the Speakeasy. Logan, you want to run through what they have to do?
Yes, you just have to record a short video, TikTok length-ish, telling us why you love Flesh and Pod. That's it. And then you can send it to us via Twitter. You can email it to us if you're not the tweeting type. Or if you're in our Discord, you can post it in our Discord.
And you have some stiff competition already.
We already have a submission that is...
ahead above the rest, let's say. It is.
Yeah. Some good work was done.
Yeah. But please submit, because I think they'll all be great. And I'm a narcissist and want you to tell me why you like me. So
once we discussed how big of narcissists we were, it was a no-brainer that we need people to tell us via video why they love us.
Yeah.
There's no other option.
Tweet won't do.
No. Yeah. We need video evidence of you inflating our egos and feeding our narcissism, please.
Preferably in a media format that is hard to corrupt so that I can keep it forever. Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. We have 3 listener questions this week. First one is from Fighting Walloon. If we were playing Magic, as 7 sets published, we would not yet have Standard, Type 2, or the Pro Tour, both of which were created by Wizard in response to how people interacted with the game. I wonder if Fab would have more casual appeal if it had not been birthed as a fully developed Magic-style constructive/competitive game, but as a buy some cards and play some games kind of game like Magic was.
This question is so incredibly good.
It is.
This got so much good discussion in our Discord going, and it was like a 3-day long Discord thing, which is great. I have some opinions about it. I know you do too, Logan. We've all played a lot of games and have seen a lot of different ways companies have done it. So why don't you go ahead and go first, Logan?
I think what we've seen, especially in the digital age, is that games that appeal out of the box to a more casual fan base don't survive. Nothing that is... Flesh and Blood is really the first game released since 2001 that caught on with a big enough fan base to maintain. And it did it through competitive appeal first. And I think the rest of those games that we talk about, Final Fantasy, which is still doing okay, Force of Will, although Force of Will did dump a bunch of money eventually into competitive play, Versus System, which again, eventually tried the competitive play thing, not Hearthstone, Hearthstone's actually still going strong, the WoW TCG, all kind of just had this more casual element of buy some packs, learn the game, type of thing going on. without a way to invest players in the product overall. Magic's appeal early on was that there wasn't anything like it. It was kind of the forerunner of being able to take cards with friends and a very, very slight and not very specific rule book and jam some games, and then it just evolved. I don't think that that's possible anymore. I'm interested if it is. Sorcery is going to tell us that, because that's kind of Sorcery's thing, right? Right now, that's the new TCG that came out. There's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast might have never heard of it. It started out on Kickstarter, and it got a lot of great traction. People are waiting for their Kickstarter kits to show up, and I'll probably jam a game or two. I didn't order any, but I know some locals did, so I'll probably jam a game or two, but I don't see myself getting into it. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm going to be open-minded, but because I can't go to sorcery night for really cool prizes anywhere, I just don't see myself being invested unless there's this super strong community behind it. And I get the casual appeal part, because casual appeal, I don't want this to sound like I don't think casual appeal is important. I think casual appeal is incredibly important. But you can engineer casual appeal from a competitive base. That is possible, and I believe that Fab has a plan. LSS has a plan to do just that. With PvE coming, they slowly started investing things into Ultimate Pit Fight. They've made it so that there are these formats that are a little bit more casual. I think that honestly, and this kind of feeds into the prior discussion, that maybe Blitz was supposed to be more casual, but it wound up being a format that people just love to play competitively, and so it became a competitive format. Just kind of you think about EDH and Magic, which came from the community. That is not something that WotC invented, and contrary to WotC wanting to think so, there was a community of players that invented this variant, and it caught on. And then WotC's we can monetize that, and they did. So there's going to be those types of things. There's going to be community-created formats and stuff like that. We just have to let the game evolve the way that LSS wants it to evolve. But they are... I need to stress that casual appeal is important at a point. But I don't know that we're at that point yet. And you don't have to convert every casual player into a competitive player. That is not the most important thing. The most important thing is just to keep players and communities engaged. Jordan?
I guess my answer heavily relies on what is the objective of the game. If you're a game like Flesh and Blood, whose end game is to have a fully fledged organized play structure with a Pro Tour and a World Championship, you probably should launch with one of those. If your goal is to make a game, then you don't need any of that shit, right? I think is TCG people that come from a competitive structured, Magic was the best in class of what a competitive play structure looked like. Flesh and Blood is now probably the best in class for what a competitive play structure looks like. If you don't care about that, if you're just trying to make a game that you buy at the store, I don't think you need that. When I play Twilight Imperium with my friends, for example, I don't care about tournaments or whatever. I play Twilight Imperium as part of board game day with my friends. And I think it's okay if a card game in particular, a TCG, launches with the idea of, we're going to be a game that's board game day with our friends. And we're going to appeal to people that buy these type of games for board game day with their friends. And so I think when Magic started, it started as, I'm going to be board game day with my friends type of game. We're going to be Dungeons and Dragons with cards, and that's cool. And that appealed to casual players and has, for fucking 30 years. So I think that the idea that not every game has to do everything, I think, is ultimately my thesis. And I see that your hand is raised in the app. We are using all the new tools, so right I'm going to let you go ahead and say what you want to say.
I just wanted to address one thing you said there, because I think it's important. You're right. I agree with everything you said. The thing that I don't think we're talking about enough is if you're making a game with the idea to continually sell the game, there's a certain amount of the arms race perspective that goes into it. Like, that's where the hobbyists come in, the completionists, the whales. That's how you grow in a way that you can't otherwise. And if you're just a casual, I mean, if you're a living card game type of thing where it's more closer to a board game night, you're not growing like that. And right. I honestly don't, I think that every TCG's idea is based in growth, is based in more people busting packs to get the things they need to play the game at a level they want to play at. And in order for that to be successful, it requires competition.
Yeah, I think that's like, I need more chase cards than the next guy or whatever from like a beginning player standpoint, and that's how you grow sales. I guess I wonder, like, if you listen to this podcast, you are probably in the top 10% of card players worldwide, like just by virtue of like the law of large numbers, right? Like you are in the top 10% of TCG players. You are the top 10% of most hardcore Flesh and Blood players, regardless of where you fall on that spectrum from I've never been to an armory or I am a calling champion or whatever. Like if you're Pablo Pintor listening to the show all the way down to never played in an armory, by virtue of downloading a Flesh and Blood podcast, I'll land the plane here. You are in the top 10% of card players worldwide, right? That class of people cares about that more than other people, obviously. What does that mean? That we think that? How do you grow? Like, does the growth of the game need a competitive structure? Does a kid that buys packs at Walmart of Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh care that there's a Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship? Absolutely not. The growth of that game is I guess those are games are a little bit of a bad example because like they have like the big cult impact in our country, right, and like worldwide. But I think a large part of it is that Flesh and Blood is not appealing to that 90% at all and doesn't intend to. It only sells at LGSs. It could sell at big box stores, and like you'd get edgy teenagers that would never walk into their local game store. They would be like, Flesh and Blood, that's fucking metal, like, you know, and they would absolutely, yeah, you can picture these kids I'm talking about. You know, they stand out front of the convenience store and like have midday raves.
That's Clerks. Oh wait, no, that's Letterkenny.
Letterkenny, yeah. I was going for Skids. Yeah, I think their failure to like, or decision to, not failure, their decision to sell it, not to sell it to big box stores, is why we don't see a casual appeal. One of the things that got brought up in the Discord chat with this is like, what is the definition of casual in this context? Is it kitchen table player that literally doesn't care that their LGS sells this game? Is it person that might go to one armory and like, I really don't like playing strangers? Is it person that is a competitive hobbyist like you and me? Because there are people up the ladder that would call you and I casual, right? And like, we think that's laughable, but like we think it's laughable that some other people wouldn't consider themselves casual. So like, it's just a matter of degrees and what does casual mean. But I think the essence is, what is the game trying to be? If it's trying to be catered towards casuals, it has to have a different marketing strategy than what Flesh and Blood does. And I don't know if like a game like Flesh and Blood, because of its marketing strategy and what it is, will ever appeal to casuals. Like the PvE thing that's coming out, that's not going to be marketed at the TCG player, right? No. That's going to be marketed at the tabletop gamer or like the D&D player. You know, like I might not even see an ad for it. You know what I mean? Like in like the algorithms, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if it's for me.
But it's with the hopes that somebody falls in love with the system, right? Like,
right, yeah, you're right. It has to be like, oh, where can I get more of this? Like, okay, like, oh, there's like a 2-player variant based around this. That's pretty cool. And then even then, you still have a further leap of that person that buys the Dungeons and Dragons version wanting to play the one-on-one version. Like, there's a lot of things there. So ultimately, I say all that to say, what customer is LSS trying to capture? I don't think it's the one that is contemplated by the question. They'll like buy a game off the shelf, play it. But I also don't know if that's like necessary. Because like It's just a different thing. And I don't even think I'm close to the question anymore. I don't think we were, but like this question is so broad.
There's just too much to it.
Economics of games question is like fascinating, you know?
Yeah.
Right. I think we're in a distinction, a distinction without a difference category, right?
Yeah.
Where we're talking about the same things. And we're doing so in different ways, and how each person defines what a casual is. Because we had some people that said a casual person is somebody that just goes to armories and then plays maybe plays in their skirmish. And I'm like,
I don't think that's contemplated by the question at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, say, pre-organized play from Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
Like, that's F&M. That's fucking... If you play in an F&M, you are, again, this is
no
an actual
casual
statistic. Yeah. Only 10% of players have ever played a sanctioned match of Magic the Gathering. And that includes F&M's pre-releases. Only 10% of people that have ever bought a pack. So,
have a number, or what used to be a DCI number.
Yeah, right. And so, like, Gym ID for reference. So, like, if that's true for Flesh and Blood, that only 10%, but that's higher than Flesh and Blood because you can only buy this at places that, like, run events, right? So, like, Flesh and Blood, I'd be surprised if the number was below 50, you know?
Yeah.
Then you could make a Gym ID online and you could make a DCI number online back in the day. So, like, that, is a big difference. But
I still have paper cards.
Yep, still have my card in my wallet, actually. 2223728201.
1687838.
Oh, what? Yeah. That's envy. That's some DCI number envy. But this question is so good, and I liked it, and I know that Abby is doing the, like, let's move this along thing, so I'll get off it. But
no, she doesn't put the button. She hasn't hit the button.
If she hasn't hit the button, guys, it doesn't count anymore.
Hold on, I'll dance.
So, she hit the button. She hit the button, so I have 10 seconds. It's like the music of the Oscars. Basically, this question's really good. It's a lot to think about. There's a lot of different ways we could all be right and wrong.
Get in our Discord. This is such a good thing.
Yeah, this is fucking sweet. This is a cool question. Anyway. Thank you to the Academy.
Number 2 is from Sleepy Jackal. And it's, if LSS came to you and requested that you come up with a new supplemental set, what theme would you choose for it? Logan?
No, I'm not first in this one. I went first last
time. Sorry, you did go first in the last one. It would be like a rebirth, like Uprising is the same thing as Rebirth, I guess. Could be a synonym, but I would choose something where they actually just like reprint heroes as they currently exist. Not like Bravo Star of the Show versus Bravo Showstopper. I mean like Azalea Ace in the Hole. They reprint her and give her like specializations and cards for her. Give me things for other bad heroes in there, like Sir Bolton, right? Like reprint dude and like give me cards for him. I think that set would be really cool and would like stop the dilution of heroes, because we're adding more than we're taking out right now, and I don't know if that's necessarily good. I actually don't know. I'm not trying to have an opinion. Actually, I'm not sure. But I would do a set where we reprint old heroes and continue to give them more stuff.
Logan?
I'm going last. Your turn.
Oh my god. I would do a supplemental set that would bring poison counters into the game. Take that, everybody. Logan?
I would do something based on like an ancient games type of thing. So like the Olympic Games or something like that, where you have cards that are based around archery, or based around who's best at throwing things and different types of things like that. Whereas more of a kind of like Everfest was a carnival atmosphere. Kind of make a supplemental set that's, because I took this more as atmosphere.
Like top down, like
gotcha. I mean that's the way my brain works. I'm very macro thought.
No, that's fair.
And so I took this as an atmosphere question, in which I want that the setting. I could think like like a King's Games or something like that, or whatever, where all the heroes are gathered from all around Wraith to compete in events to crown champions. I think that'd be a very cool. Like Coliseum style set for a supplemental, like where you'd have some cool shit. Every hero would be able to get something because you're representing across all the different classes. I think that would be fun. I think that'd be an interesting little atmosphere type of thing.
He did say theme in this question, so I guess quickly would be like a crypt, like a Diablo setting. Like there's a lot of undead, and like each region of Wraith would probably have their own version of what like the afterlife looked like, just because of like cultures develop different ideas of the afterlife, right? So I think that would be kind of cool to explain, like to delve into what like Volkor's theory of damnation is or whatever, and like whatever the hell
the five fires of hell or whatever.
Yeah. I would like to see that maybe, and that's how you can get into like maybe you could even use that to like recreate why my heroes are being reprinted or something, but some
the
kind of like Diablo.
Device.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, question.
Is it still poison?
Yeah. I guess
it's like the band, but now the theme is the band Poison. It's Bret Michaels singing "Unskinny Bop," and that's what we're doing now, right?
No one of the heroes come because no one wants to go see that shit.
Not a fucking person.
You guys done?
Yeah,
I can be.
Question number 3 is from Teague. You talked briefly about how players develop an affinity to a specific hero or class very early on. With a meta looking closer to a rock, paper, scissors meta and a small-ish subset of the heroes being competitive, do you think there is a small implicit factor of this game that may be chasing away more casual players? To be clear, I don't mean this as doom and gloom. If this seems to be true, maybe we can do something at the local level to try and counter this.
This question was birthed a little bit out of a conversation Teague and I had on Saturday where we were building common decks, and talking about what roles do competitive players have in community building. Is that role fair to impart on them? It's like, is it okay if like competitive players don't care about the local community outside of just like playing fairly and cleanly and like all the things we would expect of any player at any tournament? And we kind of talked very big, broad picture on like community building and what that looks like. And so this question is very much in that, like, what is the game design implication of a rock, paper, scissors meta like we have? And I don't know. I think Flesh and Blood does do well in the fact that if you are a stan of a hero, you can just play that hero until it gets Living Legends out. Like if you're an Azalea stan, like God bless you, but like you also can do that.
I mean, yeah.
I worry about it a little bit because my brother-in-law's friend, one of the first heroes he was attracted to was Caleb. Jesus, there he is.
You doxed him twice.
Sorry, Caleb. One of the heroes he was initially drawn to was Azalea, and I had to like put the stop to Azalea. And like, but what if he didn't have like an established Flesh and Blood player to like put the stop to Azalea? Like yikes. So, but at the same time, his purchase would still be validated, right? So it would still be fine. I think Flesh and Blood actually does a very good job at that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this goes back to definition of casual. I suppose I just messed up.
It does,
but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, so part of this question is we rewind the show roughly 15 minutes and re-listen to that entire section, but because a lot of it is the definition of what a casual player is. I know that you spoke a little bit about assigning roles and who's responsible for what, and I want to make sure to address that too. Nobody is when they walk in the door to play an event is responsible for anybody else and how they feel about the game outside of being a good opponent and playing cleanly and such. It is not imperative that, don't feel the pressure to be a community organizer. That's not it for everybody. Locally, like I've done some of it because I want this to grow. That's just a want from me. And no one does anything in this world altruistically. Anybody that tells you anything different is lying. Because even if you do something that is some form or fashion of self-flagellation for the benefit of someone else, you're still smiling at the end of it because somebody else, got something good out of your flagellation. You can Google the word if you want to, maybe use an incognito mode. But the point being that in the role assignment, you're not beholden to that. No one is. Now, when we think about chasing away casual players, step one is to play the game how you think you should play the game. how you want to play the game. Enjoy yourself. And unless you're playing like a piece of shit, then don't be a piece of shit. But the chasing away casual players, I think, especially at the local level, I don't really get, because that doesn't happen here. People will show up and play Azalea, and play Data Doll, and play KO, and play, things that aren't, described as good, and they have fun doing it. And I've never really encountered somebody that felt chased away by that. So I think that there's a lot of the embracing of every deck has a chance to win. And if there's a casual that's coming in and going, oh, my deck lost, I can't play here anymore, that kind of leads to me thinking that they don't want to be casual, that they want to compete. So at that point in time, maybe we're not really discussing that they're chased away by because they're casual, but they're chased away because they're losing and don't want to don't want it to be so hard.
Oh, that's very fair too. I think that's a good distinction. Like, if someone doesn't come after losing, what was the underlying reason? Whether it be A, they're not actually casual, or B, was it an environment thing, or C, whatever. Like, are people chasing them away? There's a lot more than just this person's casual and we need to fix that problem. I think you're right. That, with the basis of like a player going to an armory is already vastly, like we talked about a lot on the show already, is vastly above what in my head is casual. You know what I mean? By virtue of getting a gym ID and paying money to play in a tournament, you are, again, already in probably the top 50% of people that have ever bought a Flesh and Blood pack. And again, that number is higher than it was for Magic because of the way Fab distribution works. But interesting. Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, and I like talking community building with Teague. Actually, when we were putting Commoner decks together, friend of the show, new listener, new player, Dom came and helped build decks. And Dom had actually reached out to me on Twitter, DM'd me and was like, hey, I'm from Columbus. Hey, I just found Flesh and Blood. Where do I play? I told him Beyond the Board. And he went to Beyond the Board and had a great time, met some people, then ended up showing up to this like very tedious and boring help build decks day. And so that was cool. Really fun to meet him. We have interests outside of this, which is cool. And like, it was funny though, because Teague and I, for the first 2 hours of doing this, are just talking community building. And I felt so bad that this guy's there, just like listening to like Teague and I argue about like community building, and like Teague and I like healthily disagree with each other on things, and it's a very good like conversation every time. And so I feel so bad there's just this guy there. It reminded me a lot of the meme where the guy's like talking to the girl in the corner of the bar, and the girl's like, the hell out of here, but the guy's like, listen, I'm telling you this story, but anyway, I think that's exciting. Abby, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, like, you are good at interacting with like the casual or people that come into the store or at tournaments, by virtue of like being a woman in a gaming space. You also like attract like the other women that come in and play that might be there for the first time in such an environment. Or like, do you have any thoughts about decks and how game design works on that front?
No.
If not, I don't want to put you on the spot. Sorry.
No,
I just saw like the look in your eyes of like, God damn it, Jordan.
Yeah, I know. If I want to talk about it, I would, Jordan. Jeez. No, I, like you said, I talk to obviously like women at tournaments and, really anyone, but I'm more drawn to women. But that's not ever something that's like we've come up when we've talked about it. Like, normally it's like, oh, you like to play this one. And can you stop?
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah, this is an audio-only podcast. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Just for the record, those two suck. Thank you very much. All right. So let's do a shout-out for our executive producers and up on our Patreon.
We have new ones.
We have May L, Alexander H, Philip P, Taylor A, Josh L, Kenny, Nick D, Ricky, Teague W, Ben M, Corey S, Alan B, and Michael B. If you are interested, if you go to patreon.com/fleshandpod, you can look at our tiers. We have 4, and that will have all the information. We spoiled our playmat. It is officially out for people to see. So
I have them in hand. It is a sight to behold. Yeah, they're really nice.
As always, you can find us on Twitter at FlushPod. You can join our Discord. The link will be in the show notes. You can give us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. You can shoot us an email at flushandpod@gmail.com. My personal Twitter is at AbbyD83. Logan, did you make the possum dance? I need to know.
Yeah, I did. I can't resist anything. I can't resist a visual trick. Like, it's... I'm a sucker for that shit. So, even though it was a fucking hideous possum, I did make the possum dance.
It was so cute. Yeah, I honest to God only tweet about Flesh and Blood in the last 2 weeks. So...
And retweeted possums.
Well, obviously. But yeah, that is the extent of my tweeting. That will change as football is now starting back up. But side note, Logan, are you a Pardon My Take guy?
Oh, PTI? Or Pardon the Interruption? Or Pardon...
No.
Pardon My Take, PMT. It's a podcast from Barstool.
Okay.
Nope.
I'll have to send you a link from Big Cat. If you listen to Pardon My Take and you're a Packers fan, you know what I'm talking about.
The main host is a Chicago Bears fan.
Oh,
and it's the number one sports podcast in the world. And so they finally got Aaron Rodgers on there. And like this guy hates Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because for good reason. But there's a clip of Aaron Rodgers. He asked Aaron Rodgers, he goes, "Do you like beating the Bears as much as you do?" And Aaron goes, "Yes." And Big Cat goes, "Fuck."
No, that was clear last year when the Bears fans were heckling Rodgers, and then he scored on them, and then turned around and said, "I fucking own you. I fucking owned you my whole fucking career," which is also true.
Yes.
And then he came on the Pat McAfee show and doubled down.
Uh-huh. My favorite part was like the interviews afterwards. He was like, "Oh, I don't remember what I said." I'm like, "Everybody knows what you said."
Yeah, then it goes on the Pat McAfee show, and he's just like, "Yeah, I meant that."
Yeah, a career year for these guys is a down year for me.
It's a down year for me. Yeah.
Oh God, I don't like that guy, but like he is a fierce competitor that is like hard to not enjoy watching play football. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. It's even better when he's like piloting your team, and you're just like,
it's great.
Yeah, we're down 3 with we're down 2, and there's 45 seconds on the clock, and we're starting from our own 10. Oh, cool, we won. Sweet.
It's the exact opposite of what it was like watching Baker Mayfield be your quarterback, by the way. I was like, we're up 14 with like 5 minutes left. We're in the bag, baby. Oh, no, what happened?
Bad Baker. But it's incredible being a Green Bay fan sometimes. But then they get the playoffs, and it's no longer incredible being a Green Bay fan.
What's that like?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You tell me about Browns fan. You never won a fucking title in your lifetime. You're talking.
Super Bowl. Yeah,
yeah. Full stop. You can find me on Twitter at Logan Peterson. I only really tweet about Flesh and Blood, but football will be starting up, and that will start consuming Twitter space for you as well. I have a lot of drafts coming up. Like, holy shit, do I have a lot of drafts coming up? So it's going to be a lot of me trying to get some roster baiting out there, because that is definitely a good feeling when you draft a banger. But otherwise, you can find me in the Discord. Link will be in the show notes, as Abby said. I'm in there a lot. I lurk some days because work consumes my soul. But as soon as when the discussions really start ramping up, we all kind of get involved. And they're very good, helpful discussions with a lot of nuanced takes and a lot of different perspectives, which is nice. So please come in, enjoy it as much as we do. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/fleshandblood. If you want to send us an email, Jordan will read it.
It's at flushandpod, by the way.
At gmail.com.
No. Patreon.com/flushandpod. You said Flesh and Blood.
Oh, I fucked that up.
Yeah. As much as I like James White, give me money instead.
Give us money.
Yeah, well, us. The proverbial me.
Yeah,
the royal me. Yeah,
I'm still waiting for a stylist. So,
you're also waiting for a possum.
Well, yeah.
A list of things that will definitely.
You just fucking tweeted me a possum, didn't you?
No, I did not. I tweeted something else.
You can find me on Twitter at I'm Your Man. I tweet a lot of sports, a lot of Flesh and Blood,
were like, what's the worst moment? Aaron Rodgers versus the Bears, and I just started listing like the laundry list. And it goes on forever.
Yeah,
okay, I'll watch
is
all this later.
Radio. Yeah, please watch it later. Logan was trying to watch a video on his phone on the recording. So
Yeah, I just wanted to get it on the recording.
What happened for 10 seconds? Like,
it wasn't 10.
I know. But yeah, find me on Twitter at Andreman. I tweet about a bunch of stuff. I'm going to tweet all of the action that I take in the NFL this year. I'm going to tweet a lot of fantasy stuff that's coming up. Trade deadline and fantasy baseball is approaching, and then draft season for NFL is starting. So it's kind of just a crazy part of the year, but I'm excited.
Jordan, short the Tampa Bay win total.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Sitting at 11.5. And apparently there's a lot of discontent going on. And also they lost their starting center and wide receiver 4.
You think under 11.5?
Take under.
Really? Okay. Well,
yep.
All right. Did you see that, speaking of Tampa Bay, there was a no-hitter or a perfect game broken up in the top of the ninth today?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I turned it on, and then, second pitch of the final inning ripped down the third base line.
You fucked it up. It wasn't the pitcher that made a mistake or the hitter
Jeff
that
Passan
executed.
Tweeted it is what caused me to turn it on, so I'm going to blame Jeff Passan.
There you go.
Okay, well, it's Jeff Passan's fault then.
All right.
There we go, folks. All right, that is all we have for this week, so we will talk to you next week. Bye.